Greetings, Mech Warriors, and welcome to the MRBC North American Season 7, Week 7 Division A matchup between Steel JaguaR and House of Lords. I have been looking forward to watching some of these Division A matches for so long. We've watched a couple, but the meat of the matches are not even starting until just now. So most of the rest of the divisions are wrapping up their final matches, and we're starting to see the results roll in. But we are now going to be blessed with being able to watch some high-tier Division A action for the off-season, I guess. I am Bandit P17 from the Marine Mechs, and with me, as always, is MDM00 from the Marine Mechs as well.
Hey guys.
And we actually have, we don't have a third caster with us like we did in our last stream, but we do have a guest who's hanging out with us here. It's Mr. IQ Fish from Top Game Media Crew. He will be hanging out and recording from the spectator perspective. He will be getting some of that awesome action for the next iteration of the video you guys have been watching in the intro here. This is MechWarrior Online. I don't think you've decided on a new title or anything for that yet, right, AQ?
Don't think so, no.
So I guess we're open to feedback. But yeah, I mean, so you should hopefully have the opportunity to watch, and you're going to be listening in to us so you can hear when we start talking about some of the action going down, to hopefully catch some of those really cool action shots. And we're really looking forward to seeing what you can come up with.
Thank you.
You got anything fancy you're working on right now in the meantime? Anything we can look
Yeah,
forward
we
to?
are actually working on a video right now that should be released early next week.
Awesome. Fantastic. We'll be looking forward to that for sure. I'm sure you guys will see it all posted up on Reddit and Twitter and everything like that once it arrives. But so he will be hanging out with us, but he's not going to be co-casting or anything. So it is just me and MD as usual. And
Yay.
and we will be going into a pretty exciting matchup. Steel JaguaR versus House of Lords. How did you put it in your predictions? This is kind of going to be, I guess, what you feel is the fight over second place, is it?
Yeah, I have been going all along on my predictions. For those of you who've been reading on MRBCLeague.com, I've been doing a weekly review/preview, and part of that is a prediction of every single match for MRBC as they happen. And throughout all of the weeks, I've been predicting Division A matches, even though they haven't happened. We're still predicting them, recording those predictions, etc. So they are not changing based on the results. So good luck me. But this whole time, I've basically been saying, look, until someone beats Imperial, Imperial's going to be my pick to win Div A. I mean, you're going to have to show me the money on that one. So it really comes down to a battle for second place. And to be honest, I really thought SJR had this in the bag, but House of Lords has impressed me in the couple of matches they've played so far. Really, on the EU side, has been where they've been most impressive to me. And I really thought they were going to be more rusty than they have been when they played. I mean, we all knew they had good players. That wasn't the question. But these guys haven't been playing in the competitive setting for a little while now. Or if they have been playing, they've been playing on different teams, not as a group together. So I had my doubts. I've since changed my mind as the season went along, and while I still picked SJR to win this matchup, I think this is going to be a lot closer than people expect it to be. But I do think really this so far comes down to the battle for second place. I just don't feel that any of the other Div A teams at this point really can compete just to the pure talent level of these teams.
You know, I do agree. At the same token, though, we're saying a lot of, oh, well, there's a fight over second place. The standings have not been decided yet. Like I said,
Yeah,
these teams have not been
absolutely.
playing, so we don't know what the standings are going to look like yet. House of Lords actually has the advantage of having a few more matches played than any of the other teams right now, so we can kind of see how they're doing at this point. However, the last time we've seen these teams fighting each other was not even in an 8v8 setting. It was in a 12v12.
Yeah.
We saw Imperial versus SJR in the Mercstar Invitational Finals. And that's a whole different dog. I mean, you got more people on the field. crazy things happening all over the place. So I'm really excited to see what will these teams be able to do when they do face Imperial. Will the smaller amount of mechs on the field allow them to bring as much front-loaded talent as possible? And we shouldn't at all be sending any of these teams down the river. They could take EMP. But I don't think anybody is going to disagree with us when we say that EMP is heavily favored to win pretty much anything they come across at this point.
And I don't want to say that I'm putting the other teams down, saying, oh, they can't beat EMP. It's not a matter of whether they can or they can't to me. It's just the fact that, look, someone's going to have to be the first team to do it. And when that happens, then, we can acknowledge that and kind of say, okay, maybe the division's a little more open than we thought it was. But it's just, for me, from a prediction standpoint, like I said, until someone beats them, I'm not picking someone to beat them. But again, this is not a match with EMP. This is SJR versus House of Lords. And these two teams, basically they're going to be fighting. Now, maybe saying fighting for second place isn't the right thing to say. They're going to be fighting for the opportunity to take down EMP. Because that's the big deal here. If you don't win these matches and you beat EMP, it won't matter because you already have, a loss to your name. So you're going to need extra help to do that. But if you win these matches, if you do well in these matches, and you're neck and neck with EMP, all you got to do is take 3 out of 5 from them, and now you're sitting in first place. So that's really the key here. If one of these two teams can make this a lopsided result, they're going to be well set up for trying to make a run for the title in Division A. But like I said, I don't think this is going to be a lopsided match at all.
We will have to see. So we are going to be going shortly. The lobby invites are heading out. We are going to be going into drop 1, which is the lightest drop of all. 4 lights, 4 mediums, 0 heavies, 0 salts. The rule set throughout the entire match will be 1 of any chassis with 1 duplicate allowed. No strikes in the first 3 drops, and in drop 1, no clan streaks. So drop 1, Canyon Network, it is on Skirmish. What do you think we're going to see from this?
Most typically we've been looking at a theta engagement. It's the middle of the map. We're talking about very light, very fast decks here. A lot of times you're just going to see 2 teams charge full speed at each other until they smash into each other at theta. But that being said, we have seen some teams do something a little different. The Delta 3, Delta 4 positions are fairly popular for kind of maybe a different, more of a standoff play. I just think that on such a light, fast deck that eventually it's going to devolve into a brawl and it's going to wind up in the middle of the map. It's kind of the most open area. The last thing you want having happen when you're fighting on Canyon is to be in the brawl and have someone fall off the side of a canyon and get out of the fight. So the engagements typically happen in these open areas where that's less likely to happen, and that's theta.
Now, one theme I think we're going to be bringing up a few times tonight is this is going to be the first comp match that we've watched since patch. Now, that wasn't a gigantic balance pass, but some things were touched. And, how do you think that that's going to affect the loadout for tonight? Obviously, that huge glaring nerf against the Oxides, nobody's going to use them.
Clearly, the Oxide just got nerfed into the ground with that minus 15 turn rate.
Oh, the
just
torso.
Brutal.
It's not even turn rate, it's torso yaw rate.
Yeah.
So, they're just
brutal.
dead. No, okay, the sarcasm is dripping off of us.
I think you're going to see 2 Oxides.
I think we will probably see 2 Oxides as usual. I don't think the nerf affected it whatsoever.
The most interesting thing to me, to be honest, isn't the latest balance patches. It's the couple patches ago when the Flamers got buffed. And we've been seeing Flamers in these light brawls.
And they've been used effectively.
I would not be surprised to see both teams running Flamers in this drop. That is really, to me, the one that the balance patch that really altered how competitive play is taking place, at least out of the last couple patches. It's the Flamer buff. And I know everyone's shocked that you'd never think that you would have ever heard that in the last, 3.5, 4 years. But here we are. The Flamers have changed competitive play.
One thing to keep in mind too, we saw a little bit of a buff on Embers. I haven't seen
That's
many of
true.
them running around, but it kind of reminds me a little bit of the Spider 5K, the machine gun rate of fire buffs. The Ember now has those, and of course, it being a fire starter, it still has amazing hitboxes. Maybe we'll see some of those crit seekers out there,
Yeah.
and then other fire starters or fire starters in general have received the first ever, if I'm correct, first ever specific flamer range buff quirk.
Yeah.
So
true.
in these kind of tight brawls, I'm not sure how much that matters, if at all. But it's there, and we'll see how these teams experiment. Maybe I'm sure they've immediately on Tuesday were practicing with these new items. I think we're going to see a bigger impact in some of the later drops, especially with the Black Knight nerf. I think it was a pretty decent nerf. It wasn't too overbearing. I think it's still a very effective mech. But maybe we'll see a lot more grasshoppers because of it. I've been seeing a lot in public
Yeah.
queue.
The grasshoppers have been growing in popularity as teams kind of get more familiar with the advantages of IS versus clan, etc. All those structure buffs for IS have certainly made them a very popular choice, and that's certainly reflected in competitive drops as of late. But what you were talking about with the Ember, I would not be surprised. I mean, the Spider 5K has been getting some comp time just because of those machine gun quirks. And frankly, I think anyone would rather take a fire starter over a Spider if you were talking about equal quirks for those machine guns. And I wouldn't be surprised to see it, especially considering we've got 4 lights to choose from. And if you're going to bring 2 oxides, which may be risky business after that nerf, but if you're going to bring 2 oxides, which you should, you're going to have to see 2 different lights. So maybe a fire starter, and that fire starter might be the Ember.
And no doubt we will most likely continue to see. I didn't see. Did they touch the Jenner 2C very much at all?
I didn't go read through all the.
I didn't even look at
spreadsheets,
the
but
clan ones. I know I'm terrible. I'm terrible.
I didn't see anything on outreach.
I'm going to
people
go on
commenting
the
it, so.
assumption here. I don't know if you want to poke it and take a look at
Yeah.
it real quick or not, but I'm going to go on the assumption that they didn't really touch the 2C, and the 2C is
Yeah.
very powerful light
I know
mech
we're not
that
going to
is
see
used
very
quite
many
often.
jesters. That
Oh, we just saw so many jesters before
removing
the
jesters from
massive
competitive
nerf to the
play.
jester, so I'm not sure why they did that. I never thought the jester was particularly overpowered in any way, shape, or form. I thought it was in a pretty good place. It was decent, but we didn't see very many of them in comp play, and there was a reason for that. So I don't think you're going to see any jesters at all now. Maybe this was in preparation of Catapult Rescale. Maybe it's going to be amazing now after that. I don't know. But no jesters in the heavy mechs. If somebody does, you'll hear us become a little bit shocked by that. It wasn't even like a buff one area of it and nerf the other area. It
I'm
was
just
a
waiting
straight
for
across
double
the board cut
jesters
down.
now as a result.
Oh my goodness. But yeah, both teams are getting in lobby. We should hopefully be getting started really quick here. And then we'll bring you some awesome action. Drop 1, of course, being so light, it's going to be very quick. We're going
Very
to see
quick,
some
yep.
intense combat. It can be difficult to really make any meaningful calls there. And but we will do our best to keep track of that action and let you know. And we will again be bringing you some picture-in-picture, which we are still working on improving on. So definitely give us any feedback on that. It'll be down in the lower right-hand corner, showing you the first-person view of MD. And
We are always welcome to feedback, except for the red text comment. Yes, we know the red text is impossible to read.
Yes.
No, that is not our red text. That is PGI's settings.
Now, one thing I do want to touch on, we did test Spectator Tool post-patch to make sure that there wasn't anything crazy like a couple of the adventures we've been on, like the cockpit switching bug and things like
The
that.
People's Choice.
The
shoutcast.
People's Choice Shoutcast. I didn't see anything terrible. The one thing, though, that you guys might notice, the end-of-round score screen, and I'm sure a lot of you guys who are playing have run into this, does not show the opposing team's mechs, and unfortunately, in spectator mode, it counts me as being, I guess, in Team 1 as a spectator, so Even though I start over Team 2. I don't know how that works. But it will not show the mechs for the other ones, so hopefully MD can see that maybe. Otherwise, we're just going to have to remember who brought what and add that up to the damage counts.
Yep.
Hopefully PGI can hotfix that in a reasonable amount of time, because it is nice knowing...
Looks like there was a hotfix announced for tomorrow, so...
Okay, good.
I believe that's included in that hotfix, so hopefully not too much longer with the hidden enemy mechs. Let's see, yeah. First hotfix patch is going to be that end of round scoreboard display, so
Clearly
you'll be able to go back
Proton,
and judge your opponents now. So don't worry, guys.
clearly Proton
happens
loves
soon.
flamers in chat there. One last thing. I don't know if you guys have been watching and reading the patch notes and stuff, but they did release something that you guys might be interested in taking advantage of. The tournament supporter pack for $10 in the gift store actually is a pretty good value. I bought one myself. The Warhorn's pretty awesome. It makes some pretty cool noises. But the big thing is they actually improved it from just being a 10% XP buff to 10% XP and 10% C-bills. And that runs until December 3rd. So that's like a mini premium time for $10. And you get some cool stuff. The dropship's pretty badass too, so they did a pretty good job on that. I'm really glad that they expanded it to include more from what they originally announced. I was on the fence before, but as soon as they said 10% C-bills, I'm like, yeah! I've already been seeing, I've had a couple, like, almost 600,000 C-bill matches with that thing equipped, so it's been pretty sweet. Pretty sweet.
Yeah, I'm going to have to dig $10 out of my wallet, I think, to get that as well. I could use the C-bill bonus.
Absolutely.
Someone won't put me in the raffles for all the premium time, so...
Yeah, I intentionally take you out. Speaking of raffles, we will be doing some giveaways today. I'll try to do one after the first drop, third drop, and a bigger one at the end of the match. So make sure you stick around. You are eligible just by being active in the chat in the last 10 minutes or so. So say something, and you'll be put in there. Awesome. So, just waiting on one more Lord player, and then we should be getting going in stuff. I do have to thank House of Lords for giving us the opportunity to cast this live. If any of your players are watching this stream right now, turn it off. Because,
yes, turn it off.
Because I don't want that stuff with not being allowed to cast Lords because of that to come back. So, turn off the stream. We want to be able to watch these matches.
You won't miss Hula Bandit.
You won't
Don't
miss
worry.
Hula Bandit.
That's for next cast.
Oh, boy. Already got a pretty good crowd in here, and I'm sure that will get bigger. A lot of people are watching the NGNG podcast right now, so hopefully they'll come over and hang out with us afterwards. I'm running out of things to say. They need to get that last player in there so we can get into drop one. Yeah.
Looks like our comments about the jester are showing up in chat, and Criven with the "I'm sorry, what's a jester?" Yeah, basically.
What a shame. What a shame.
Yeah. It was the wrong spot on the dartboard.
And there's our 8th player, so now they just have to ready up. I am not used to having this much time before a cast. If you remember our last cast, we immediately were like, "Hi, everybody!" Now we're going into drop one. Here we go. It was a little bit quick. And I'm going to go ahead and jinx it, but I have a pretty good track record of taking that overlay down and not making any
now it's
radio
jinxed.
casts. So now it's jinxed, but let's see if I can keep that rolling.
Who's ready for a good old-fashioned radio cast?
Oh, man. Well, I have been working on my radio voice. Creeper face. Alright. Both teams are ready up. We will be heading in shortly. I have released my MRBC stream control out to anybody who is interested in shoutcasting, so we can kind of standardize, and you can have all these tools that you're seeing on my screen and stuff, all of these C-bill add-ups and stuff. Some people have used it already, and I've gotten a lot of really positive feedback, so I'm pretty stoked about that. But if anybody is interested in shoutcasting, definitely poke someone in MRBC and let them know. The ready question has come out, and we are going to be heading in as soon as they press the button. Yay.
There we go, finally.
That was agony.
All right, let's get this pip started up.
Pip. There we go. Let's do this. Drop 1, 4 lights, 4 mediums, no heavies, no assaults. I am starting over on the House of Lords side, and we're taking a quick look and seeing dual oxides as predicted, Jenner 2C.
And so
and
SJR is also running dual oxide, so
nobody
surprise,
is
surprise.
surprised about that one. We also have in the medium side Griffin 3M, Blackjack 1X, Nova, and a Hunchback 4SP, tanky 4SP. So
SJR has the Blackjack 1X, the Griffin 3M, a Storm Crow, and a Shadowhawk 2D2. Been making a little bit of a comeback, the Shadowhawk has. That 4 SRM4s and AC10s, pretty decent range for a brawl mech, but also can have some good DPS and pretty survivable.
I know we've been running it a lot lately, and it has been a very fun mech. SSJR is coming straight up to Theta with their main body. We do have a couple lights spread out on the left side here, but their main medium force is Radio Tower. Looks like they're going to try and get a little bit of initial poke before the brawl actually starts. Let's see if they can land any of those shots.
And that Blackjack Magician just charged around the corner. Here they come, pushing right over. Looks like Lords is sitting back.
It's going to take their lights a little bit to get into the fight here. They have started in on the 4SP and the Griffin 3M. The lights are still not here, though.
Blackjack just went down for SJR really quickly
Wow.
with basically no damage.
And Glory goes down in the 2D2, so we are up 2 for
This Hunchback
Lords.
is still alive. He got legged right in the beginning and has stayed alive this whole time.
3 down now for SJR. The fight is going like crazy here. People dying all over the place. Nova has gone down, but this isn't looking too good for SJR.
Lords has the advantage at this point right now.
I am actually completely shocked that with the amount of time those lights were not in the fight, the mediums for House of Lords put down so much focus fire. That was impressive.
Yeah, and a
Down
bunch
to
of
Uncle
really
Russ.
quick back cores on the mediums for SJR. I think I saw 2 or 3 of the mediums just get absolutely backcored, and basically one shot. It was brutal.
And that is it. 8-3 decision in favor of House of Lords.
Wow.
That was insane.
That was
how
very
quickly. I didn't see a single shot really fired from any of the Lord's lights by the time the first mech went down for SJR. That is very impressive. And that will take us into drop 2. Let's take a look at the score screen.
So I can see SJR's scores thanks to this bug.
I cannot see Lords, though.
Okay.
You said you can't see SJRs?
I can only see SJR.
Yeah,
so
same here, unfortunately.
looks like we don't have access to who did what damage, but
I do know that Peef Smash was in the Jenner 2C, and I'm pretty sure Psychoholic and Mortisy were in the Oxides, obviously doing quite a bit.
7 kills between 2 players there, Psychoholic and Kajubert, with 7 kills total.
What was Kajubert in? Because that is an amazing amount of kills and damage for a medium mech, and to keep him alive that long, that is very impressive. So very well played by Lords, and I don't think anybody saw that coming whatsoever. Like just how
that was very, very quick.
I thought it was going to be a lot closer, and just how quickly that all went down. And that puts House of Lords up 300,000 C-bills against 75,000 for SJR. But it's not over yet, ladies and gentlemen. We have 4 more drops to go, and we will be playing all of them tonight. So we will bring up the map here. Just a quick drawing, not much to go over on movement. But we have, I believe Team 1 was SJR, immediately came through Theta, and we had the mediums hop up to Delta 3. The lights kind of came over here, some went down below. SJR came straight in.
Yeah, it
This
was
is where the
really
battle
interesting.
occurred.
It was almost like the mediums for Lords purposely sat back in Delta 3 to pull SJR in, and maybe, I mean, honestly, there were so many backcores on the SJR medium so quickly that I couldn't even tell. Maybe, I mean, honestly, there were so many backcores on the SJR medium so quickly that I couldn't even tell what backcored them.
Well, let's go ahead and take a look at the replay. maybe we can take a look and find out what happened in that one. In fact, my replay has not even caught up yet. That fight was so fast that the 5-minute delay, we are still sitting back at a 0-0 score before the match came up. Okay, they're just now loading in. So we will watch it from the very beginning and see how that one all went down.
I mean, I'm guessing that what happened was the medium sat back for Lords. SJR pushed across, was aggressive, and those lights for Lords that were, as you pointed out, not quite in the fight yet, just came up right behind SJR. I mean, we all know those Jenner 2Cs with that really, really high alpha. If you let one get behind you and you aren't twisting or trying to spread that damage or all, I mean, you're dead. That's all it is.
All right, so we were taking a look at those were the House of Lord light mechs, and it looks like, God, that red frickin' text. Who was the medium that lived to the end? Well, good luck being able to see it, folks. I apologize. That's as good as it's going to get for red text. So, okay, so we had House of Lords set up in Radio Tower. SJR came up through Theta. All of the light mechs were down kind of in the valley or scouting out on the left side, putting up their UAVs, staying relatively passive. Now, I was a little concerned at this initial movement because they were staying so far back that I thought that, the fight would be half over by the time they really got in there and did anything meaningful. Had a little bit of poke coming out from the blackjack, some return fire. So the lights are still out at this point. So here they come. Where's the... Oh my god! See, okay, we had a couple oxide shots from Psychoholic, but that was really it from the lights. The rest of the mediums just completely wrecked Magician.
Yeah,
and
I mean, he
Glory,
went down
bang, bang, like that. Oh my goodness. I mean, we've got, I guess, enough time that we can go back and look at that
SJR
again.
lost several mediums to the backcore.
But okay, well, let me go watch it again here. Let's do some finagling.
Yeah.
And why don't we slow it down a little bit? We'll go to half speed. We're going half speed, so a couple really good SRM shots. We do have Tweakin' right up in the fight there, and the 4SP is right in the center, and he's looks like Magician is curving around the 4SP and puts his back to the other two mediums sitting up, and they punished him for it. And Glory also has her back to the other guys, but then here comes...
And that 4SP got legged before any of the SJR mechs went down, and then lived for like another 30 seconds. With one leg that was already cored, just no focus from SJR to get that mech down. I mean, if you're going to go legs, you got to kill them, because otherwise you're leaving all of their weapons still available to them. Even if they've only got one leg, it's not like you're going anywhere.
And that is certainly rough when you are starting to surround a target, but the act of doing so puts you back to the rest of his team. The 4SP definitely did his job getting into the fight, becoming the focus target, tanking it very well, and allowing his team to just deal some significant damage. It looked like SJR, they didn't bring a 4SP themselves, so they were going for pure DPS, and unfortunately, if you're going to be doing that, you need to take those targets down efficiently.
Yeah.
So that is all she wrote for that replay, and then the rest is just finisher. So that is drop 1, and it goes to House of Lords. So we will be heading into drop 2, Viridian Bog. This is a 2 lights, 4 mediums, 2 heavies, 0 assaults match. So a little bit heavier. And on Viridian Bog, we've definitely seen a plethora of strats used on this map. What do you think we're going to see today?
Well, it kind of depends on what the teams want to do. The usual strat might be just push hard, right, on either side, Delta 4, Charlie 4 sort of thing. We've seen some strats in Delta 2 holding up on that hill for teams that don't want to push the 2 staircases. Typically, Team 2 will just charge up to those staircases. I mean, they've got the
Yeah.
staircases, they've got the big hills. Why not?
I actually brought up the map right now, kind of drawing that out. House of Lords will have
Yeah.
access to those stairs. A
We
lot of
did
people have said
see-
that that's a pretty good, the Team 2-sided map, and it really comes down to how does Team 1 respond to that generic style of play, because it's if it ain't broke, don't fix it style. Why not take the stairs if you have the opportunity to do so?
Now, we did see, though, on this map, one of probably the best MRBC matches we've ever seen. The Antares Scorpions versus House of Lords EU match, with Antares Scorpions and their waterside push to get behind House of Lords, and just an awesome, awesome match.
You got to keep in mind, though, that the reason why that worked is because the guy sitting right here, the light mech sitting right there,
Didn't see him.
did not get that line of sight where it needed to be. He was
I
literally
guarantee
seconds
you, even
away
though
from
that
seeing
was
it.
an EU match and it was early on in the season, I
They
guarantee
did
you
it
that
twice. They
strategy
did it in
won't
NA too. Like the
Yeah.
NA one was the one going into the back there. The EU one stayed in like Echo 3. So that was actually the NA side match where they took it back there for Lords.
Was that the NA side?
Yep, because we
Oh,
were talking
well,
about
I
like,
know.
well, they just did a range deck. I wonder what'll happen now because it was the double header. They
That's
played
right,
twice
yes,
in the same
you're
day,
right.
one for EU, one for NA. It was insane. But I don't think that anybody's gonna necessarily do that again here, and it doesn't really seem like an SJR style of
No, it
fight.
does
But
not.
maybe that's exactly what they'll do. Maybe. I don't know. I just don't think that entire Scorpions would have.
Maybe
gotten away
they'll
with
do
that.
it because they think that Lords thinks that they wouldn't do that
Because
thing.
they think that they don't think that they do think. But no, at the very least, I guarantee you, a House of Lords mech will be looking into water at least once. They're
Yes.
not going to let something like that happen again. That was a one-time deal, and if it does happen again, I'm throwing my headset and saying I quit because I obviously suck at this. But
Yeah.
my estimation would be that they will not get away with rushing water and getting up on a hill somewhere with a range deck. But we will have to see. Both teams are in lobby. We're waiting for everybody to ready up, and we will be heading in shortly. One thing that I have seen, though, is the D2 hill here for a poke deck.
Yeah, I think that's a good position for Team 1 if you want to go ranged. Otherwise, you got to push those two hills, and it's just ugly. That can be very ugly for Team 1.
This is a pretty fast-moving deck, so it is pretty easy to close the gap on people that use that hill. I remember we were able to do it against QQ Mercs by coming... When they do sit there, we came around this side because it's the easiest way to get to the stairs without taking too much damage on the way in. So we could see something like that if they use that strat, but... it is a fast-moving deck. You don't have assaults that are slowing you down or anything like that. So a range deck might not really work too well here, but we'll have to see what they bring. It could go either way, really. But forewarning, this is skirmish, and even though it is a fast-moving deck, and whoever is moving can typically close the gap very quick, we may see a very slow fight in this. It's happened before where two teams have stagnated, neither wants to face each other. The current rule set states if there is a tie, the winner of the series will get that win. Hopefully they don't do that to us today, but you never know. Both of these teams are playing hard. They're taking this incredibly seriously, especially since the PGI tournament is going to be 8v8. This is the best thing that we have right now to practice that. MRBC is the closest thing to it right now, and these guys are going to be taking this very seriously because they want to be contenders. So... let's see. They got two more guys that'll be getting ready up shortly. Hopefully the picture-in-picture worked pretty good there and wasn't too laggy. Goodness gracious, Lords, please ready up. Oh, there we go. They just did it at the same time, and we'll be heading in right as soon as they say they're ready. So drop 2 Viridian Bog 2420. Still no strikes allowed, but streaks are allowed, and we have seen them used in drop 2 several times. Let's take a look. Firing up the pip. Can't wait. I was told that in May they will be adding improvements to the spectator tool. I'm super excited to see what they come up with.
Oh, man.
Right off the bat, I am seeing Peef Smash in a Jenner Oxide. I don't think they went dual Jenners. They went dual Griffin 3Ms on Lord's side. But Peef Smash in the token Oxide, Dario 03 in the Jenner 2C. Those are the two lights for the evening in drop 2 for Lords. Ooh,
And
this
SJR
2K
went with
ringing?
dual Grasshoppers. Large laser Grasshoppers. Looks like this is going to be a range deck. They are
Oh,
jump
wow.
jetting up onto some hills.
I am
You're
seeing
looking-
a Shadowhawk 2K with 3 SRM6 and 3 small pulse lasers by Psychoholic. That's one that I
Now,
haven't
that's
seen used
an
before.
Interesting strategy.
That is an
And
interesting build.
SJR has gotten their 2 Grasshoppers up on these hills. They're jumping up onto hills here, trying to get some really high advantage.
So
Uncle
the
Russell-
Cheetah is going to get a little bit of a face of Oxide here. Let's see if he catches him on Seismic.
And he's already bugging out, it looks like.
Probably a smart move. He's being fanned out by these SRM mechs. Actually, the Jenner 2CA is small pulse lasers, so the Oxide, of course, SRMs, but I'm getting blipped a bunch on Skype. I really need to kill that. No, whoa, Catapult C4! 4 SRM, 6 Artemis, 2 small pulse lasers. They are bringing the SRMs hard.
Yeah.
For sure. So Lords
They're
is
going to
now...
have a hard time, though, if they push up and these mechs are all on the hills.
Let's go take a look at SJR's position. So Lords is in the position that we figured they would be, and sure enough, SJR is over here. But they've actually fanned out to multiple hills. They are not putting all their eggs
they
in
are
one
really
basket.
spread out.
They have some of their faster mechs, Nova and a Shadowcat, up on the hill we talked about
Looks
previously.
like here's Lords moving into Bravo 4, going far side around.
So they are going through the path that I mentioned is the easiest way to get to that hill, but I don't know whether or not they know how spread out SJR is. SJR is on many different hills, so even if they push that hill, the most they'll get is a Shadowcat and a Nova, and those guys can probably bug out pretty quick. It's going to be tough to get firing lanes on these mechs, though, during the approach. There's a lot of hills they can move behind.
Core Knight just got a blip in the Shadowcat from that hill, so he now knows that there's at least one mech in the Charlie 2 direction.
Absolutely. So we should see some scratch, and then hopefully the Lords will call their push. They're going to talk about it. There's no reason to go rushing headlong into this. They can talk about it. They can discuss their approach, and here they go. They are on the move. They're committing to a rush to those stairs, but there's only 2 mechs up there, and potentially none by the time they reach the target.
And there's eyes. T-Fun just got eyes on those mechs pushing around. SJR knows where they're going.
And they are moving. They are bugging out of the hill that these guys are approaching. So they need to set up a decent firing line because these guys will be getting in there pretty
they can't
quick.
just run. They've got to be shooting as well.
So they are looking up on that hill, and at this point, I don't think they're seeing anybody. So they're going to have to continue on. They're able to slow the fight down a little bit here once they get to the stairs. Let's see if they decide to take a breather. But they are going to take some scratch damage from the approach. Actually stopped way back here. A little bit split.
You know, if I was SJR right now, I'd be a little worried. They are very close, and it looks like Lords has a lot of jump jet mechs. I don't know if these hills are going to be that much of an advantage.
Yeah, and the foliage is incredibly thick. They don't have any ECM on the Lord's side, so they will see the blip, but you're firing at squares at that long distance. We do see a little bit of a firing lane to some of those mechs off on the left there. They can catch them on the cross, but you're doing scratch at most. Let's see if we can get some shots in on this catapult. Oh, it hits the tree. He got away with that scot-free. So
Bowser in the Griffin did take a little bit of damage, lost one of his shield arms, and a little bit of scratch to a torso, but all in all, not too bad, and nothing that I would say would give an advantage to a ranged deck in a close fight. You know, they really do need a lot of kill, or at least a lot of damage before that engagement happens.
So they are sending mechs across to the stairs. They are getting hit with very small scratch, nothing significant. It's going to be a tall order for SJR once Lords decides to pull the trigger here. They're going to have to put out quite a bit of damage in a very short amount of time, and they haven't really done much. 90% for the Jenner 2C, 80% for the Griffin 3M. That's good, and they're at 0 heat right now because of the approach. But it's still going to be really rough. This is going to be a lot of SRMs coming their way, a lot of small pulls. I personally, with all these jump jets, would put my money on Lords being able to get in there and do some significant damage. But, you know, it could really go either way. So, like I said before, they're kind of slowing the fight down now. Their light is getting a little bit of ER medium scratch in there. So he's allowed to maneuver more, get those pokes, hopefully not get caught out. Anything that this guy can do to soften him up is big. And on the other side, we're seeing actually movement from the Arctic Cheetah. He doing pretty much the same thing here. They're able to bug out fast enough, but just small pulse, you know, at max range, really. Just trying to harass him, keep him in a panic, maybe force some movement. And it looks like they might be prepping for a rush on the left side, which is not where the majority of SJR's mechs are. I mean, if they are going
here they
for
come,
that,
they're pushing into Delta 3 right now.
So we do have the rush. The question is, are they rushing in the correct direction? Do they realize where main body is? Now they are cutting right. They are going exactly where they need to go. So they are getting hit. Percentage is going
just overheated, and they're pushing in on the Magician hard, and he overheated as they came in. Not a good play.
They are split right now. They have actually split 4 and 4. They're trying to jump jet up and get some shots in. The Griffin 3M does make it up top, and is starting to put some fire down on the Nova. They need to answer this, because they are getting completely decimated by SRMs. Percentages, the Magician does go down. Percentages are starting to flip back. But it looks to me like SJR is starting to scatter. They did take the Griffin down.
The Nova down. They're working on the Nova now. They did take the Griffin down.
Yep, that is big. The Griffin is incredibly dangerous. The Grasshopper fell down, probably on purpose, but gets swarmed by the animals. The Catapult has lost his ears down to just 3 or 2 small pulse lasers, but still in the fight and still doing damage.
The Griffin is now down for Lords, as well as the Shadowhawk is really beat up, but
both
it's going to come down to a matter
now
of who has some weapons, who can focus fire here.
Here comes that Shadowhawk 2K. Let's see what he can do. He's popping shots into Core Knight, who just overheated. Luckily, he got away with it, but that Catapult's still doing work with just a couple small pulse lasers, and the Nova as well.
Almost got a kill there.
They need to take that Nova down quick. This Shadowcat is getting harassed big time. But they're still in
Nova
this.
Does go down.
It is 4-3 with the percentages heavily in favor of SJR. They can pull this off. They can definitely pull this off. The Catapult is almost sticked. We got a fight off in the side. Timberwolf versus Hunchback 2C.
This Arctic Cheetah needs to go help. He is fresh and he is a brawler. He needs to get in there and take down that Timberwolf.
The Timberwolf doing a very good job putting the fire on the 2C. They need to take more to see out, and he does go down. The Cheetah does show up to assist. Looking like this might go in favor of SJR.
Yeah.
That was a bloody battle, though. The Peep Smash in the Oxide, no jump jets, doing whatever he can to just keep fire on target. Catapult is down below still with the small pulse, just doing whatever he can. But really, it's all going to be on Peep Smash in the Oxide. Problem is, no jump jets. What could he possibly do besides just take pot shots? They are getting some good hits on him. He is down to 47%. And it looks like Uncle Russ in the fresh Arctic Cheetah coming in to seal the deal. Jump shot, twisting around the corner, and he does take him down. And quickly,
there we go.
The almost sticked Catapult goes down. So, 8-4 decision in favor of SJR. That was a risky play by SJR, but they executed it pretty well, taking those Griffins down first, which I think are definitely the biggest threat. And they managed to pull it off. So they do pull off the win, but they are still behind slightly in C-Bills. by 25,000 because they did lose one extra mech than House of Lords lost in drop 1. So let's take the pip down so we can see the score screen. Peef Smash managing still 229 damage in the Oxide. But Airlock
a good
pulling
job for a mech without
426.
jump jets, like you mentioned.
Absolutely.
I am impressed that strategy worked. It looks like SJR did a good job spreading out Lords, kind of breaking it down into a couple of individual fights and doing a good job spreading their damage and getting the shots on target for essentially what's became, a battle of their own heat versus those Brawl decks, and they were able to win some of those individual battles.
Absolutely. And, we knew this was going to be close, and so here we are at 1-1. And let's take a quick look at the movements on the map. Viridian Bog Skirmish. As predicted, initial movements for House of Lords was to take it to the hill. They did stay low. They had some initial light movement on either side just to take a look, but opted to stay back. They did set up. SJR had 2 mechs, the Nova and the Shadowcat up here, but a majority of their guys were actually here and here, I believe. So they were pretty well spread out. That was a really good spread by them. So as we thought, Lords takes the safe route, comes into here, holds up, and they're figuring out, okay, they have guys here and here. Some pot shots on them as they cross, and then they opt to do the charge in. And at first we thought, okay, well they're not going to the right hill because we had Magician, I believe, was here. But the majority of their mechs were on this back hump. But no, they actually split. They sent 4 there and 4 there, and they did end up getting the Magician. He said he overheated while they were coming up right on him. And so they were able to punish him pretty quick. The Griffin, I believe the Griffin's split, but the Griffin that came up on this rock right here did some pretty good work getting up there, punishing him. They were able to work him down. The Grasshopper falls off, dies down here. Just a brutal fight up on that plateau. But SJR is able to pull it off. Let's take a look at the replay. So we will go back in time a little bit to when the rush was about to begin.
Yeah, I mean, I don't have a problem with Lords having the slow, measured approach. I think that's the right thing to do.
Oh, absolutely.
Try and figure out what to do. I liked everything that Lords did. I really thought they had the advantage until they pushed the right side. Really the right side for SJR, the left side of their position.
Yeah.
I think they took the long route to get in to SJR's position, and I think they pushed...
Yeah, they could have definitely gone around that other rock,
yeah.
and that would have nullified some of SJR's mechs that were off to that left. The Magician up there and stuff.
The majority of the mechs for SJR and the heavier mechs were off to the left, so they pushed the weaker...
Clearly, though,
the SJR position.
Clearly, though, it wasn't a mass push to that. They were planning the split. They wanted to do the split. They didn't want Magician to be able to sit there and unload on them while they were fighting on a single plateau. They went into this knowing that they were going to split to fight over there, and ended up getting Magician and worked down the other guy that was up on his hill. It was definitely a tough fight over there. They cranked down the Grasshopper, but the Core Knight and G-Man just doing whatever they can on top of this plateau. It obviously something worked well for them because they got both of those Griffins, and I think that was a big turning point. Griffins are very powerful. There's a reason they brought 2 of them, and taking both of them down is a big, big, big advantage. And so that Splat Cat losing both of his ears, that's pretty rough. He did still have the zombie lasers, but the Nova, of course, having one of his arms left, definitely more dangerous with the small pulses. They do take him down. The catapult lasts all the way until the end. But he was able to just sit there and wail on people with those. They still do damage. It's still dangerous to leave him alone.
Yeah, I mean, he was doing damage. Like, they
and
were
he's not going to overheat.
He's coring people out. He's doing damage with that. I mean, I can understand go for the valuable targets, but you don't want to let the guy just sit behind you the whole time.
Absolutely. This Timberwolf doing a fantastic job staying alive versus the Hunchback. He did end up dying after Uncle Russ came in to save the day with the flying, leaping, small pulse. But that was that was very good by that Timber to last as long as he did. He didn't end up getting the Hunchback though for the effort.
Yeah.
Peep Smash still
stayed
alive in the
alive for a long
Oxide.
time.
People smartly jumping away from him, and they are able to end up taking Peep Smash, and then ultimately the zombie catapult. I think the catapult was an interesting choice. I mean, would you have taken anything besides it? I mean, it's very easy to take those ears out, and SJR definitely spent some time on those ears.
Yeah. For an SRM brawler, I don't know how many other heavy
Oh, that
options you have
leaping
to
shot.
choose from.
The delay on the pip was literally like 1 second or less right there, and the leaping Uncle Rush shot to finish off Peep Smash was pretty awesome. So
Yeah.
I'm pretty satisfied with how
Something
that
about
looked.
SJR lights and doing jump shots.
I
They
know,
must
right?
practice
They
those all the
can't just
time.
come around the corner. They got to go airborne, right? But yeah, I mean that was a very good fight by SJR. They are still behind though, so they're gonna have to do some work to get back. And lo and behold, we are in drop 3, and I don't know if I'm the only one that thinks this, but SJR is a little bit cursed on this map. I haven't seen too much success here. I don't know
that's
why.
true. Not a good
I don't
want to
jinx them. I don't want to jinx them, but oh my goodness, that I hope they can come up with a very good winning strat here. No lights, 0 lights, 3 mediums, 4 heavies, 1 assault, and the assault has to be a victor. Still no strikes in this one, so very slow moving. And this is the first conquest drop. I'm gonna get IQ Fish back in here. You're still with us, right, IQ? Hopefully. I've lulled him to sleep, I think.
Yep.
No, I'm here. Sorry.
Okay, cool. Awesome. Yep, we're going to be getting you back in here for the recording and stuff. But, yeah, I mean, this is pretty crazy fighting going on. What do you think we're going to see on Tourmaline?
We haven't seen a lot of teams play the cap game on this map. Typically, when we see a drop 3 cap strategy, it's been on Polar. The map is just so darn big that everyone likes to do that sort of thing. On Tourmaline, I think we haven't seen that as much. We've seen some range builds. We've seen some brawl builds. I think one of the things that we've seen fairly regularly, which is a little strange to be honest, is 2 range decks where one of those range decks is really aggressive and the other is not. So it's almost like the wrong mindset for the deck, but it usually works out for the aggressive thing. I think most teams just assume this is going to be more of a passive match, so whatever team decides to be aggressive has a little bit of an advantage, and I think for the most part that's what we've been seeing is the most successful strategy at this point.
Absolutely. I'm going to quick interject with a giveaway. Let's do it. I meant to do it after drop 1, but we're rocking out some of that action. So who's going to win? Holy cow, that's a lot louder than I remember it being. Well, if you weren't awake before, you are now.
Wake up!
Round and round it goes. Let's see who is going to be the winner of some premium time codes. And the winner is TB64. Make sure you say something in chat so we know you exist. And we will be mailing you those codes after the stream is completed. So back to the match. Let's take a look at the map for Tourmaline Conquest. So Team 1, of course, is SJR. Team 2 is House of Lords. I believe SJR has an advantage on the Theta Overwatch. They can get up here and take a look. What we typically see is if they're playing a range deck, you'll see Alpha Lance immediately move up to here, and they will be immediately exchanging fire with the Alpha Lance on the other side. They have a clear view from Echo 4 into Delta 5 and vice versa. So if both teams are running range decks, we will be seeing some heavy fire coming from there. If we don't see that, then it could indicate a more of a pokey mid-range or brawl deck where they come back around this side and maybe push through Echo 6 or something like that. Hoop is where Bravo usually runs, and it looks like they might be setting up Alpha Bravo. We'll see if they maintain that. But, yeah, I mean, we're going to be seeing some crazy stuff here. I've seen some... Oh, man. What was it? Who was the last EU match I watched? It was freaking Eon versus somebody.
Eon versus AS. Was it AS? No.
No. Was it BSMC?
It might have been BSMC.
Either way, the drop on Tourmaline, the amount of DACA going back and forth from Echo 4 to Delta 5 was insane. Like, 4 mechs with DACA on either side just unloading ultras into each other. That was one of the coolest things I've ever watched. Just the amount of firepower flying back and forth. That was crazy. I hope to see something like that again. It definitely beats the stale laser vomit that people always complain about.
Absolutely.
But yeah, I mean, this could go anywhere. No lights to worry about here, but if they opt for fast mediums, you could have Ice Ferret, Cicada, the Shadowcat streaking around grabbing caps, but then it all comes down to wasting people's time as much as you can to maintain those caps. If you opt for the Shadowcat, you know, you're nerfing yourself in your potential output at range, and when a team sees a Shadowcat roaming around, they know they've got you, at least on paper, in the actual exchange, so they might push it a little bit harder, or even take it into a brawl, and that's the risk of doing it that way. That's definitely the risk.
And I think, like we said, we see those strategies a little more on Polar than we've seen on, like, Tourmaline. I think part of that is just the shape of the map, right? The map, I mean, Tourmaline's a big map, but going across that Foxtrot line is actually kind of narrow, and you can sort of try and funnel people into that line, kind of compress the space where you have to engage, and, you know, if you're trying to chase down 1 or 2 guys left and they're faster than you are, you can kind of spread out,
put a
little net and funnel them into a narrower portion where it's easier to capture them or maybe easier to do a little more damage to them. We haven't really seen a lot of teams be successful trying to play a pure cap strategy without lights on this drop. So I expect to see just
straight up trade, maybe.
Trade. Yep.
Yeah.
But like I said, one of the strategies we've been seeing a couple times that have actually worked fairly well is from Team 1 moving from Delta 5 into Echo 4 and pushing hard into this Echo 4 Foxtrot 4 area, almost attempting to catch by surprise, you know, the mechs that start off in Alpha, because they're sitting in Alpha trying to trade at that point. You know, that's what they're expecting to do. And sometimes I think you can catch a team.
There's a little bit of a valley that you can go into there.
Yeah, there's a little valley where you can kind of, march your way up alongside here, and get into that Alpha Lance, maybe taking a little less fire than you might expect.
Yep. I mean, they can hit you in that valley if they have the supremacy, but if you were rushing at them and putting fire in them, they have to duck down. You can get all the way up into brawl range without taking anything else. So both teams are getting in lobby and starting to ready up. I am seeing we're waiting on one more Lords player. One change here is we will be seeing MDM0. He is going to be in Team 2 because we're bringing IQ Fish in for the recording. It was requested that we only record the Conquest matches instead of the skirmish matches because having MD die can throw the numbers off and change how people react to things. Doesn't matter as much in Conquest. So that was requested, and we're honoring that. But now we are in Drop 3. MD will be suiciding right off the bat to bring you the picture-in-picture and the alternate view. And we do have IQ Fish sitting in the second spec slot. So don't be shocked when you see a death right off the bat. It is not important because MD is not important.
And now my feelings are hurt. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Yeah, I have to maintain my stunning KD ratio in competitive matches, which is probably something in like the .1 range at this point.
Because you
I
do
think.
tend to die instantly.
I do tend to die instantly, so I
We
have
like
to
to
keep up
think
my
you
reputation.
valiantly. MD, what tonnage are you? 200 tons. Oh my goodness. Everybody's taking this super serial, guys. Super serial. Gotta know the tonnage of the spectator. Otherwise, how will you know what mechs people are bringing? Once again, so while we're waiting here, definitely give MRBC League channel a follow if you enjoy watching competitive play. Like I said, we've got a lot of Div A matches left to play. The rest of the divisions and regions are wrapping up, and we'll be entering the off-season, getting ready for Season 8, which will be coming back regardless of whether there or not there is a PGI tournament out there. So super excited to see what they come up with, if they change any of the rules or anything like that. But we will be still watching some debate matches, so definitely give the channel a follow. And definitely hop over to my channel, BanditP17. Give me a follow as well, because I do cast other matches unrelated to MRBC over there. And I do host awesome people, so if you like watching people on Twitch, I try to host interesting people all the time. So definitely a good person to follow, if I do say so myself. But yeah, just gotta plug that in there.
Yeah. Don't toot your own horn too hard there.
Yeah, I don't want to get a wrist injury or something, right?
Yeah.
How is the general chat feeling so far? What are people thinking? Any predictions flying around? Anything like that?
So far, I haven't seen a lot of predictions one way or the other. I think most people are not surprised by how quickly these matches have turned one way or the other. Definitely, something that you see in competitive play, right? As soon as one team gets an advantage, the skill level is so high, they're able to press that advantage to the fullest and just absolutely blow a match wide open. So, not surprising there. Seeing a little bit of comments that were going on about potentially some players for Lords that were not eligible to play in this match. I guess the official MRB statement at this time is, yes, unfortunately, they are not eligible. There is a penalty for doing so. However, we have heard from House of Lords that, unfortunately, they do not have enough players otherwise to play tonight, so they have to play them. And to that, I'd say kudos to House of Lords for continuing to play the match, accepting the fact that, unfortunately, it is against the rules and there are penalties for that, but they're here to play. They're here to not only get better, to measure up against a very good team, but thankfully also to let us cast and have a good time watching these matches. Whether the players are eligible or not, the matches have still been highly entertaining, and that doesn't really have an effect on whether they are entertaining or not.
Absolutely. I'm just glad that we are able to watch it for sure. Just waiting on one more person to get in here. So yeah, the PGI tournament sign-ups close, May 1st, is it? And then we'll be getting into the qualifiers. Should be interesting. Sounds to me like it most likely is going to be a lot of Canyon Network. Lots of Canyon Network.
Yeah, endless Canyon Network.
Canyon Network, and I think it's best out of one from what I've heard. So they probably are going to be doing multiple matches a day on those private servers. Still waiting to hear some of the specifics from PGI. Not sure what's going to happen there. But hopefully we get some casting in there and can watch and be entertained by the qualifiers at the very least. Obviously, there's going to be, if it's truly round robin, it's going to be a lot of blowout matches. Not a lot of really close ones, but that's what needs to be done because they're all coming in unseeded. They're not taking any prior achievements into consideration. You're going to have to use the qualifier to decide who is being seeded how in the regional finals, and then that's where the fun's going to start. You got some of the best teams up there. I don't know if they're taking top 8, top 16, whatever, but that's where it's going to be really interesting, and we're going to hopefully see some really awesome battles in hopefully best of 5. I really hope they don't keep best of 1 throughout the entire thing, for sure. Still waiting. Definitely taking some time. Lots of people saying sorry and stuff, so hopefully they can get moving. But like I said, I'm just happy to be able to watch some epic action for sure.
Yeah, definitely seeing some comments in the chat right now about the PGI tournament. So, hopefully that turns out well. I think there's a lot of potential there. Can get, I think, a lot of good publicity for the game, which is always a good thing. It just,
Absolutely.
Right now got to make sure that hopefully all the rules are put together in the most useful and, enjoyable manner. Also seeing some messages about your Skype chat noise, so
Sorry.
get on that, Bandit.
Oh, let me freaking fix it right now. Okay, sounds. Incoming. I am recent chat. Mute all sounds. Alright, let's do that. Save.
And before Bandit mutes everyone.
So we'll see if that works. And here
Well,
we
here
go.
we go.
Finally. Looks like they were having a little bit of issues getting people into the match, but we are good. We have 8 people on both sides. And in we go. Firing up the picture-in-picture. I love the low delay on this thing. I'm pretty pleased with it so far. Hopefully that continues. Alright, I am over on, looks like, the Steel JaguaR side, which is not typical. I am seeing a Black Knight and a Grasshopper and another Black Knight, so still opting for the dual Black Knights. Victor 9B, let's see what the loadout is on him. PPC AC5, Ultra AC5, large pulse laser, large pulse laser, large pulse laser. So we are in a mid-rangey style deck for SJR. What do you got on that side? Oh wait, you're killing yourself. Right.
Yeah, it took 3 Alpha Strikes that time. Not my most efficient death, but I'll take it. We got 2 Black Knights, 4 Lords here. Not surprising at all, even after the nerfs. I think there's still a very good mech to take. In Orion, actually, on the battlefield, Grasshopper, Dragon Slayer is the popular choice for the Victor. A Griffin 3M, a Blackjack 1X.
We're looking pretty brawly on the Lord side here, definitely.
Yeah, this looks like a brawl deck, and they are pushing right into Theta here.
So
Looks like some initial trades, but they got a Hunchback 4SP leading the push here, and it looks like SJR has swung out wide enough to see that push. Let's see if Lords can get on it. This Hunchback 4SP is really far in front.
he's pulling off to the side though. He's taking a lot of damage, but
took a lot of damage from that. Still alive though.
yeah, they have actually switched to the Orion as their primary target. They do take him down. The Hunchback 4SP is in on the Stormcrow. Looks like they got some flamers over there on SJR side.
SJR does have some flamers, so they are a little prepared for the brawl at least. But this Black Knight's really getting beat up, and he does go down for SJR.
So Quicksilver in the Stormcrow with the SRMs down to 21%, still alive, doing everything he can, but he does go down. Looks like two dead on either side, now 3 for SJR.
3 for SJR, so Lords does have the advantage, and this Hunchback is still alive.
So SJR is now kind of backing up, trying to maintain their range, doing everything they can. They got to be running hot at this point.
I mean, this Hunchback has to die at some point. They
Down to
just cannot leave
34%,
this guy standing
29%.
out.
He
Just
does go
tanky.
down.
Finally goes down.
So he has gone down. The Black Knight is the next one around the corner. Let's see if they can put their
And he
fire
is
on
fresh.
target. 63 though. They are getting the fight down
they
there.
opened him up pretty good, but they did get another kill, so it's now, I believe it's now even again.
Yeah, we are even at 4 and 4 live, 43%, and the Black Knight does go down.
Black Knight does go down. Yeah, this is a really even
Potentially
matchup, though.
showing that loss of the structure maybe coming into play there. Blackjack 1X peeking around
Evened
the
up
corner.
again. 3
G-Man
on 3.
overheats in the Grasshopper, but he gets away with it because he's so far against the wall.
Oh,
But
he does
Energy
go down,
comes
though.
around and does get a shot to the back. Uncle Russ pushing up in his Victor, working
These
both
Blackjacks
the
are doing a
Blackjack
great job
and the
baiting,
Black
though.
Knight. They're surrounded at this point. Ruza in the Black Knight, the
He
last
is
one
fresh.
left.
He has to get some
He's
kills
got to
in
be
quick.
running hot though, but he's got to do everything he can,
Oh,
and
and
he
a
gets
great shot.
shouldered down, and this one
That
goes
was a great
in favor
shot.
of House of Lords. Goodness gracious, that was definitely a close one, but House of Lords takes it to them. I think they were a little bit more of a brawly deck, and definitely did some damage there.
Yeah, I mean, I think it was a little bit of a strung out push, but again, Hunchback 4SP, Psychoholic stayed alive for a long time, was able to break off after losing a torso and kind of make SJR switch away without getting a kill down, and then still managed to do 180 damage, get a kill. I mean, that's not much, but it's better than if you were the lead guy and got focused down instantly. But that
Absolutely.
Orion, 0 damage and still able to win the fight. Just really, really good pinpoint damage by Lords to pull that back.
Yeah, and of course, Energy, the quote-unquote illegal player, pulling 3 kills, 490 damage, definitely did some work for the Lords. And Kjubert there, 541. Now, the
Yeah,
Black
Blackjack 1X.
the Black
was very
Knights
good.
definitely were able to pull quite a bit of damage. I mean, they didn't nerf the output from the Blackjacks or from the Black Knights. They didn't kill the output at all. But they did they kill both Victors died, right? I believe
Yes.
both Victors died. Okay. The output isn't changed at all. It's just the survivability. And we were actually seeing the Black Knights go down kind of normal, like what we would expect them to go down if they just lost a bunch of structure quirks. I think they're still in a pretty good place. They're still definitely usable, but they're not, oh my god, anymore.
Yeah, I don't think anyone was hoping that they would get nerfed into the ground. I mean,
No. And that's what everyone
let's
was
face it, the
afraid
Black
of.
Knight was really, really good. And frankly, rather than see the structure quirks, I would have rather have seen the duration quirks get nerfed. That's what really concerns me about the Black Knight is you're talking about, in about a half a second, a huge alpha. Basically pinpoint front-loaded damage at that point. I mean, how can you spread? You can spread a little bit for a half a second, but not a lot. So I would have liked to see the duration quirks get adjusted, but we'll see. Maybe the structure buffs or structure reductions evens it out a little bit. It needed something, and I like the fact that they did something small. This whole concept of small incremental changes, I think, is the right way to approach quirks. Unfortunately, usually what we see are global, large changes, and those really do just shift the meta from one way to the other. So I like that, but maybe the Black Knight winds up being not the heavy of choice at this point, but it's still a really, really good mech.
Absolutely. So, coming over and looking at the map here, we didn't have any initial trading alpha to alpha. House of Lords immediately got their guys out of alpha to join Bravo and crank right through Theta and take it right to them. SJR had a firing line in the back here up against C4, C5, trying to do whatever they can. Really got forced into a retreat. It was pretty freaking close. Like, they weren't ER large lasers, by no means. Large pulses for the most part, so they weren't necessarily at a huge disadvantage from their weapon systems, but that shit runs really hot, and when they're coming straight into you like that, it's tough to to keep that output going. They did a really great job against the Orion. The Forest P did last forever. He was able to duck into a corner and then rejoin the fight shortly after. They did switch to the Orion and dispatch him. He did no damage, but then that Forest P with those SRMs got in there and started doing some work. So let's bring up the replay and take a look. So we are actually catching it right at the beginning of the movement here. The 4SP is the first to go in, doing his job yet again with those heavy, heavy structure quirks. Doesn't have a lot of output in that mech, but it still can do work if left alone. So he does his job. He gets them to change targets, and while he's peeking up, he's tossing some shots in. I think he still has both of his shoulders there. And so they're able to get in there and start doing work. Aerosai, the Black Knight, overheats, and that's a deadly overheat. And he gets completely wrestled to the ground. So that's a big win for Lords right there. The next one to go down is the Stormcrow, I believe. He just got worked down, did whatever he could in the meantime. Things not looking too good for SJR at that point, but they started bringing it back. They set up their firing line. They started tossing the shots downfield. Obviously, heat's running high.
For the majority of the match, that was one kill on each team. Alternating back and forth between who got the next kill.
So they did
really close match.
Did take the 4SP down. Now I thought G-Man might have gotten away with a bad overheat up against the wall. I think he alphas right here, and he actually turns away. Let's see when that happens. Okay, so they work down Bowser. That's good, and he is up against the wall, overheats. I got a little ahead of myself there. Looks like it might have been that shot right there. He probably had it in overheat. And so I thought he got away with it. He actually started twisting away to get out, and then here comes Energy, pops him right in the back. Good heads-up play. He put himself into risk to get that shot. There's two other mechs that's staring him down, and he actually went in aggressively to take G-Man out with that shot. And it was a good heads-up play by Energy to get that in there, and then you just got the one blackjack left, and then a professional shot right to the shoulder.
Yeah, that was a beautiful shot.
It might have actually been CT. No, that wasn't. That was a shoulder shot. That was a good shoulder shot. So, very exciting fight. The Blackjack 1X was in bad shape, but they did have some fresh mechs left.
Yeah, I mean, that was a really close match. We just talked about the last match, how these teams are so good that you can press any little advantage into what seems like a big stomp, but they're also good enough that they can kind of go blow for blow and really have a close match. It really just kind of depends on this sort of match. When you have mechs running high on the heat curve, you might not see as many of those quick one after another deaths, because you take a shot to get a kill. Now you got to cool down, and you're letting the other team have a chance at getting a shot, and they might get a kill there. So it's kind of this one shot, one kill situation at the end. And I think Lords just did a slightly better job of kind of peeking the corners, using managing their heat and using the cover to get the good shots in, and it won them the match.
Absolutely. And, we were touching on earlier, they are using pilots that aren't eligible to be on their roster because of the CSJA folding.
So I'm seeing some comments that Lords might have had their victor left. I don't know if we saw that in the replay or not.
Let me take a look here if I was wrong. I really wish I could see the end of kill screen. They did. Yep. That was Mortazy in the victor. He did stay alive, so let's fix that. Good catch to the chat there, and we will update that. So I apologize, but yeah, I'm like I was touching on before. They are using some pilots that they're not supposed to be using, but they're doing it because it's either don't play at all because you don't have enough people, or play and get penalized. Got to give them props to doing that. Obviously, they are practicing for the big tournament. At this point, if they've decided, okay, well, obviously MRBC Season 7's a wash, they're still playing it because they know it's great experience for that, and they're building team cohesion. Obviously, Energy is going to be in their main roster, I would assume, for the big tournament, so why not play him? And, I can't fault them for that. I do think that MRBC is doing the right thing, standing by the rule set, saying you essentially can't team hop, because they need to protect other teams from that kind of quote-unquote abuse happening. So I think MRBC is doing the right thing, enforcing the rule and enforcing the penalty, but I do think Lords is doing the right thing, because if they're not going to be able to play at all, we've seen way too many withdraws. I would rather see teams play and get penalized than not play at all and just withdraw from the season. So I do have to give Lords props for doing that. This is one of those things where you kind of be like, oh, they should just give them a pass, but no, they gotta enforce the rules. Rules are rules. But props to both sides for those rules and for the decisions that were made and stuff like that. So at least we get to watch this fight. And Lord's up 2-1 and have a pretty decent CBIL lead.
And they're playing very well at this point.
Absolutely. So they got to be feeling really good about their cohesion right now. They're playing very well. Let's see if SJR can come back in these last two drops and pull off a win here. They still are in this. We're getting into the heavier drops, and I do think that SJR plays better in the higher tonnage drops. So we'll see what they can come up with. I mean, I said that on the EMP one too, and they almost won it.
Yeah.
So I do think that Steel Jag is a very good drop 4, drop 5 team. You cannot underestimate them in those drops at all. So let's while we're waiting here, they're almost ready, but
Do you
why
want to do
not?
another giveaway while we wait?
Let's do another giveaway. Let me just
Yay.
uncheck MD's name and
Oh.
Moobot.
Oh.
Definitely thank you to all you guys coming in and checking us out. And if you're catching us on the VOD after the fact, definitely thank you guys for tuning in and watching these casts. It makes it worth it. And around it goes. Who's going to win some premium time? A lot of people watching. And the winner is... Oh, how appropriate. Blazon 420 picks up the premium time on 420. I did not plan that. I'm telling you, I did not plan that, but that is pretty freaking hilarious. Congratulations, Blazon 420. You will be getting your premium time codes after the match is completed. So we are heading into drop 4, Frozen City Night. This is a 2-2-2-2 drop, so even across the board, this is going to be kind of the closest thing that you're going to get to the PGI tournament in MRBC. 2 lights, 2 mediums, 2 heavies, 2 assaults, and strikes are not allowed. We are still in Conquest, but we are on Frozen City Night. What do you think we're going to see on Frozen City?
You know, the one thing we have seen is the lights kind of been used in that battle over the Theta cap point, right? I mean, both teams can have easy access to 2 cap points without necessarily exposing themselves too much to the enemy team. Theta is kind of the missing link to get the cap advantage, and when you have the cap advantage, you kind of dictate the terms of the engagement. You force the enemy team to move. You can set up to wherever you want to receive them, and they have to move. So we've been seeing kind of some initial light battles, maybe a medium or 2 helping to assist at Theta, and whoever can kind of win that battle at Theta usually has the upper hand. Now, that being said, the downside of that is as soon as Theta starts flashing, the other team can either A, choose to engage Theta, or B, they push knowing they have a numerical advantage for at least, 30 seconds or so, 15 seconds, enough to do significant damage with that numerical advantage. So I wouldn't be surprised to see both teams kind of be passive at first, try and get the cap advantage at Theta. And then once that cap advantage is established, I think you're going to see a fight somewhere, depending on, if Team 2, if Lords establishes the cap advantage, you're going to see a fight on the other side of that open ground on dropship in like the Delta 3 area. They're just going to set up in those buildings and wait for SJR to charge over the saddle. And basically the opposite's going to happen if SJR gets the Theta advantage. That would be what I would expect.
Yeah, I think that's pretty accurate.
We're going to have to see.
You might see an immediate charge. Maybe somebody's not going to waste any time and will take it straight to them. Hopefully getting over before the other team can get established in their positions. I've seen things like that happen, and I've seen it done effectively, so we will have to see what they come up with. But we do have 2 slow assaults to worry about. What I've typically seen is you've got the Atlases, and a lot of times they'll bring dual Atlases. I can almost guarantee you that Lords will bring 2 Atlases on this as their duplicate. I will be surprised if they don't, because that means Peep Smash wasn't being listened to, because I know that he's a huge proponent of dual Atlases, and basically says the dual Atlas deck will always win. I mean, I don't think that that's a wrong thing to do. So I wouldn't be surprised to see the dual Atlases in use by Lords, and I wouldn't be surprised to see dual Atlases in use by SJR to answer. But we've also been seeing Mauler MX90s. I've been seeing, we saw the traditional 5 AC5 builds, but I have been seeing an increase in the 3 AC5, 3 Ultra, or 2 Ultra AC5, just to get that extra little output. I think it carries less ammo, but it has that extra oomph to take mechs down quick, because really the first couple seconds of a fight can really decide how the rest of the fight is going to go. If you can take down a fresh mech very quickly, this is a game of seconds when it comes down to these brawls. It's a game of seconds, and if somebody lives a couple seconds extra, it can mean so much. It can mean so much. It means a half a bar of heat. It means better positioning. It means, you're losing guys in the process and things like that. So having that output to get that extra burst DPS, I've been seeing it in use a lot, and I wouldn't be surprised to see at least one of them on one of the teams if they do opt for like dual oxides or something. But we'll have to see. I'm sure we're going to see Black Knights or maybe Grasshoppers on the heavy side. Maybe Brawler Timberwolves. There's still a lot of good choices in the heavy area.
Yeah. The Brawler Timberwolves, the only problem with those is they bring such great mobility. They've always had that mobility. It's just being a clan mech. The Timberwolves a very agile clan mech, especially for a heavy. But with all the IS structure quirks now, those Timberwolves really are starting to feel a little less safe than maybe they once were. I think we all understand that, at least for the competitive gameplay, for the meta, the scales kind of tipped back in the Inner Sphere's favor a little bit. And while the Timberwolf is still one of the cream of the crops, if not the best clan mech out there, is it the best solution when you compare it to a Black Knight and a Grasshopper? I'm not sure anymore. I think a Black Knight would easily win that battle against a Timberwolf, and a Grasshopper, maybe. I don't think you can say the Timberwolf is the best heavy in the game anymore, and I'm not sure. It might belong in the top 5. I don't know if it belongs in the top 3.
We'll have to see. Both teams are getting readied up. They're getting their lances set. Looks like on the Lord's side we have a heavy Bravo Charlie split with one sitting in Alpha. Maybe gonna go peek Saddle right away, get some info. Yeah. It's probably one of the light mechs, but Bravo Charlie, that's a good tail of dropship. They could cut into Saddle though. I mean, they have options. But let's take a look. Get the pip going. Let go of my mouse. Goodness gracious. There, here we go. Oops. Alright. Love Dolly Cam, for sure. I am over on the House of Lords side. We are seeing Peep Smash in a Jenner 2C, Hunchback Forest P, Nova looking pretty brawly. What's the rest of their team got? Black Knight, Atlas, Mauler MX90. They did not opt for the dual Atlases, and an Orion. Did they not bring a dual anything? Oh, they have dual Jenner 2Cs. That's interesting. Most likely because of the jump jets.
They might be planning to win the Theta battle.
Yeah,
as
they seem to want the jump jets. What do you got over there on the... Are you dead yet?
I am dead. Yes,
okay.
We have a Jenner 2C, Arctic Cheetah heading straight to Theta as well. Mauler MX90 for SJR, Blackjack 1X, Timberwolf, and that's, of course, Jaeger.
Wow,
dual Gauss,
SJR
PPC.
is incredibly spread out right now.
Yeah, they have dual Maulers. That's their choice.
Are they opting for some sort of long range here?
Yeah, it looks like it. They have some dual Maulers. They do have a Streak.
They have a Black Knight Cap and Gamma.
Yeah, that's a little strange, to be honest. they do have their two light mechs on Theta, and they have a Streak Stormcrow waiting in the wings. They're kind of hoping maybe for that light battle to happen, against.
In the meantime, House of
Lords.
Lords has come around tail of dropship, and they are moving to Tactical Hill. I'm not sure. Oh, they're sending a light way around the back. They're playing heavy cap battle here. It looks like they might be recalling him. He might have been just taking a look, but that Frost Pendragon definitely taking a wide look. I can't believe that Lords is not pushing this, but they must not know how spread these guys are right now. It looks like the lights in the Street Crow. Oh, we might have a little bit of.
And looks like the SJR has eyes on them now, but this is not a great position.
This is really weird, man. I don't know what's going on. We'll see if it works, but Mahler tossing shots over at Ruza. They're getting hits in. Percentages aren't
and
really
here comes
flying.
Smash and the Jenner 2C. They need their lights back, helping out those Maulers, or else they're going to be
They're coming in, but they don't realize that the Mauler is right next to him. Oh my goodness. If Bowser takes a shot, but he doesn't see them coming. This is the weirdest goddamn thing I've ever watched. Quicksilver in the Mauler goes down for SJR, but the Orion for Lords is getting hurt pretty bad. Bowser just taking Frost Pendragon to task. It's so hard to fight a Mauler with a light. T-Fun is doing everything he
Smash
can.
in the Jenner 2C is right among the. He just went down actually, but he went right among the assault mechs and distracted them from the fight for a little bit, and that's a painful thing.
The Orion does go down, but there's 2 mechs down now for SJR and a lot of very low percentages. T-Fun down to 47, Piemaker to 39. Not looking good for SJR. They're going to have to pull out some pretty expert shots here. Psychoholic in the Atlas is getting into the fight and dealing some pretty massive damage.
And they're going down very quickly. What are the lights for SJR? I'm not even sure where they are on the field, if they're still up yet or not.
He's fighting the Mauler, I believe, in the back. Yeah, he's... T-Fun probably hitting him with 1 small pulse laser. Is one of the last guys alive. That was... I mean, just to be blunt, I think that might have been the worst positioning for SJR I've ever seen them take. I don't know how it was supposed to play out, but that definitely was just leaving them open to incredibly aggressive movements by Lords, and maybe they were hoping that it would be a little bit more of a standoff, but standoffs only happen when there's a presence on the other side of the ship, and they were able to just meander over.
Yeah, I can't say I know what they were trying to do there. They were really spread out. They were all intertwined within the buildings, and they basically were sitting at the back of the buildings. They were allowing Lords to use those buildings to advance. Just not a good, clean strategy. Whatever they were trying to do clearly was not properly implemented at the very least.
They had to have been thinking that it was going to turn out to be a little bit of a standoff. They were probably thinking they can ambush some of the lights at Theta. Didn't happen because Lords came into it thinking, we're just going to take it to them and we're going to get the job done, and that's exactly what they did. And they're kind of able to do that when the initial light scouts and says, well, there's nobody Tack Hill right now. I don't know what the hell they're doing.
I would imagine for Lords, they probably were confused as all get out, because they're like, where the heck are these guys?
They're playing a range deck. Let's take it take it to them. And the Piemaker in the Streak Stormcrow, only pulling 97 damage, actually runs past the Mauler. I'm surprised Bowser actually didn't see him. He could have easily have one-shot Piemaker in the back. But Piemaker got a little bit lucky because somebody started hitting the Mauler in the back, and he turned right at the perfect moment. But oh my goodness, that was some really weird stuff right there, for sure. So I guess we'll take it to the map here, just to draw out what happened.
Yeah, attempt to draw what we saw there.
So we had tail of dropship movement from Lords. We had a group sitting up here, a group sitting up by Kappa, and then we had the Street Crow right here, and the lights at Theta kind of there and there. Biggest spread I've ever seen. And then here comes Lords just saying, well, whatever, and taking it right to him. The Mauler sitting up basically on Tack Hill, just unloading the entire time with a couple guys harassing, but it's really hard to beat a mauler in a light. They can get one good shot on you and rip a leg off. It's not easy. It's a big, slow, dumb
Yeah.
assault, but it's got
A lot of
massive
pinpoint
firepower,
damage.
and they can just go nuts on it. They won't overheat. They can just keep laying it into you, and it's got twist to it. You know, it doesn't have good pitch if you can catch them on a hill, maybe, but. And then the lights came around in the back, and it just took forever for them to get in there to do anything meaningful. The Stormcrow walks right here, and Bowser doesn't see him come past, but that was curious. I'm not sure. Let's take a look at the replay and see if we can see what the hell happened. So we've got obviously a 3-cap in favor of SJR, holding it very loosely. Well, actually, that's kind of
Yeah.
a strong hold. Just the split. Yeah, they're holding it all right, but it's not going to last long. So here comes the call from Lords to charge in. Quicksilver in the Mauler front lines all by himself.
It's also that's a small map to try and do a split, hold
It was a good call by
hold cap
Lords.
thing. Yeah.
Now they're going to go right to
Not sure
Quicksilver,
what's
who's
going
got his
on.
back up against a wall. Here's what I'm talking about. That Stormcrow, like right when that happened, he turns around just long enough, but that Stormcrow doesn't last too long, going up against the Nova. Straight Crow versus Nova. Not able to get too much downfield. And then Frost just versing that Mauler. Bowser just punishing him, completely wrecking him. And then it's a 1v3 over here. Just the only word I can use here is sloppy, because this whole layout just seemed wrong from the start.
Yep.
I'm not saying I could necessarily do better, but I've seen a lot of fights, and I've seen things like that go horribly wrong, and there was no reason to think it was going to go right just by that setup. I mean, did they ever receive any intel? They had nobody scouting to see what Lords had.
Their lights went straight to Theta, it appeared.
That
They
lack
went
of
straight for the.
information just hurts.
Yep.
I mean, you could have had Quicksilver and the Mauler maybe back all the way up to Gamma if he knew that they were coming in with Atlases and shit. And then Bowser just sitting there unloading non-stop across the field. I mean, that thing's got an 800 optimal. He can reach across and touch anybody on this map and still do pretty damn good damage. He doesn't need to be in the fight, especially when people are silhouetted up against the hill like that.
Yeah. It's
I'd be interested to see what the chat thought about that one. Because I'm being very negative. I'm being incredibly negative to SJR here. And I'm not doing it because I'm trying to be a dick. It's just that was not...
yeah. Well, let's
that
see.
was
We've
not the
got the
kind of thing
magician
we've
in
seen in the
chat.
past.
Magician in chat saying we effed up. So yes, I think we would agree with you there. They
Well-
had plans, but they were not executed.
Okay.
So
And, I don't want to beat the dead horse. I mean, I've been in that same position where I've had this big, grandiose thing in my head as to what the hell we're going to do. And it's not necessarily complex, but my team does not execute it the way that it was explained. And then there's really
What are you
nothing
trying to
else to
say,
say
Bandit?
about... All I'm saying is 7v5 on Caldara. You should have won that one, man. But...
my feelings are hurt now.
Well, anyways, I mean, like I said, shit can go wrong. Let's not necessarily punish it. They definitely fucked up, and he's saying they fucked up, so it's not like that should have worked. I don't know what happened or anything like that. I would like to hear what they were trying to do, but bottom line, yeah, that's all she wrote on that one. So. They have officially... Let me bring up the updated scores here. Just gotta get the NS score screen again. Only 2 dead for House of Lords.
Yeah, that. Yeah, can't beat a dead horse. All you're gonna say is that they had a plan, did not execute the plan. Game over.
So House of Lords is gonna win this 3-1. SJR still needs to fight for the Sea-Bills, though, because they are up against, of course, EMP. And if House of Lords can streak in and kill EMP just as well as they're working against Steel Jag, Steeljack still has a chance at winning the division. We'll see what happens. But they need to be fighting for every C-bill they can get. And the next drop will be on Caustic Valley Conquest. 2 lights, 0 mediums, 2 heavies, 4 assaults. The heaviest drop yet. So let's take a look at the map for Caustic and see what kind of stuff we'll be seeing here. We do know... What do we know? We know that Team 1 has the advantage of getting to the Caldara first. They can get to the rim before Team 2 can. Now, they have a little bit of a walk to get to Theta, but they can get their firing line set up right here way before Team 1 or Team 2 can.
Yeah, and I don't think holding Theta is necessarily the best strategy on Caustic. You got to remember that's a really hot portion of the map as well. I mean,
it's the hottest place in the game.
It's the hottest part. Yep.
Besides standing in lava, it's the hottest place in the game.
Yep. So you're gonna be hurting yourself in terms of the damage output by taking Theta, even if you get the cap lead, or you potentially get the cap lead through that, but your damage output might go down, and dead mechs don't cap. That's all you have to say about that.
Absolutely. And so we could see maybe a fight over Theta, but I really think that kind of goes in Team 1's favor. The other thing we could potentially see here is I've seen a standoff strat with these guys kind of staying in this region over here, fighting over basically Kappa, Sigma, Epsilon, and conceding Gamma and Theta to Team 1. It can work. I think that Team 1 has a much easier time getting lights to Kappa unopposed. So they could easily take these 3 and hold them because it's really hard. There's a lot of open terrain from there to Kappa. Very difficult to traverse that if they have a decent firing line like posted right here. Very difficult. So this is going to have to be very cautious, or they could just say fuck it and just rush them, which I think that is a very viable strat as well. Just bring full DACA and just say screw it, kill. And it could work. It could work. But we'll have to see. It could work. But we'll, I have to say that Caustic, the new Caustic, is probably one of my weaker maps commanding on. And I've seen so much done, but I've seen so many different strats used here that I don't necessarily know which one's the best. And there's a lot of hard counters to that.
I'm going to go out on the record and say that New Caustic is one of my least favorite maps because it is old Caustic, except bigger with more of the same problems.
Yeah.
So that's all I have to say about that. PGI, please. You're going to redo a map, fix the problems. Don't just make it bigger around the edges. But yeah, I mean, I expect to see a lot of DACA builds, really. Heat-efficient builds for kind of mid-range poke to brawl sort of things, and try and do an area of denial sort of thing from Theta. Get the caps up and just try and deny access to those caps from those mechs. Now, that being said, we have seen teams do extreme long range sitting back. I just don't think it's as helpful, as useful on such a hot map.
Absolutely. Well, SGR, obviously some stuff is going wrong here, and so I think that they can pull this back, and hopefully they don't let that last one get to them, or the last couple get to them.
Yeah.
And they can bring it back here and figure out what's up.
Yeah, and that's always kind of the worry when you have to play one match after another match after another match, and if you have a really bad match where everything goes wrong, how well can your team sit down, put that behind them, and get focused on the next match? I mean, you can discuss what went wrong, you can talk about it a little bit, but you don't want to just fixate on all the things that went wrong. You want to make sure you know what you're doing for the next drop. And sometimes it seems like, and not saying this happens to SJR in particular, but on occasion it'll happen to a team where they just get a little too focused and they're not sure maybe they're not prepared for the next drop. They're too busy worrying about what happened in the last one.
Mm-hmm.
They kind of wind up costing themselves for later drops as well.
And I definitely, I have that problem as well, where I dwell on the previous drops. I do think there's things that you can learn from previous drops, so I don't think whitewashing the fact that a loss just happened is the best course.
Yeah.
That's my personal philosophy. Is I hate it when
not
people say,
whitewashing.
"Let's
You
not
just
talk
gotta
about
find
that last one,"
balance. Yeah.
because if something obvious is going wrong or whatever, it needs to be addressed. But then don't dwell on it. Move on to the next one. That's just my personal philosophy.
Yeah.
But unfortunately, some people like to, especially, you got all different kinds of people in comp. You got the people who hate hearing about what went wrong, and so they don't want to even hear it. And if they hear it, then they play worse. I hate that. I hate it when people are like that, because you need to have thick skin and you need to be able to take constructive criticism and then play better the next time around. And if you don't have thick skin in competitive play, you're gonna get rolled over. Bottom line, if things start going wrong, it's gonna cascade and it's gonna turn very bad. And then you got the people who just get pissed off and just stay pissed off the whole time, especially when things are going wrong. And that's the other side of the spectrum. They dwell on it the entire time, and it affects their play. When you're pissed off, you don't necessarily play better. Maybe some people do, but you start making rash decisions. You don't think through things properly, and it starts getting worse. And then you stay pissed off the whole time, and then there you go. You've been pissed off, and you just lost a match now. There's a delicate balance, and I think that the commander really needs to be the one to delegate how those conversations are occurring, and I guess who knows? Maybe that's what makes and breaks people. But I think that SJR can learn from what just happened and go into the next one and win it. I think they can pull it off.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not counting SJR out at any point. That was a general statement that I brought, not a specific statement to the teams in question here. Just something to be afraid of, and for any of the people that might be prospective comp players watching or newer comp teams, especially, something to keep in mind. You don't want to get in that mindset where you're costing yourself on future matches because of what happened in previous matches. But that being said, looks like we have all 8 players in the lobby except for one just dropped out for Lords. So I take that back. We do not have all 8 players, but hopefully we will soon.
Why don't you ring from? Oh, there we go. We got it now.
There we go. All right, we got it.
You should play for him.
Yeah, I'll clutch it, finish it off for Lords. 8 kills.
You mean you're
right
gonna die in
calling
2
it.
seconds and do 0 damage?
Yeah. Hey, that hurts my feelings. MD has feelings too.
MD has feelings too. So we'll hopefully be getting started here any second now, and then of course stick around. We'll be doing a giveaway after the last match is played, and it'll be for a mech bay and some premium time, so definitely hang out. Hopefully you guys have been enjoying the most recent patch. Like I said, they do have a tournament booster that you guys can purchase for $10 to get 10% C-bills, 10% experience. I bought it. It's awesome. So I'm raking in the dough, getting ready for Season 8. Was about to buy Black Knights. I might still do it. We'll see. I don't know what mech I want to get next, but I'm up over 100 mechs now, so I'm pretty happy with that. But yeah, that's a pretty sweet little thing. I'm glad that they put in the extra bonus for the C-bills in there, so that's pretty slick. And CW, I still haven't really played it. We did a couple scouting missions last night. It was semi-entertaining. I don't know if it's sustainable. Because bottom line...
My concern is having something that can headshot anyone within a certain area. It just seems like
I'm assuming they got to
pointless.
hot fix that.
Yeah.
I mean, at that point,
They
though,
did say they're reducing the damage.
with 90% intel in one person's favor, I mean, I guess you deserve to lose the planet then. So you're losing it in style. The problem is you're wasting people's time to lose it. They should just give them the planet at 90% or some shit. Not saying that that's actually a solution. I'm just saying it. You might as well, because when you're getting long-timed and just immediately annihilated, why even play?
Yeah,
I wouldn't want to be there.
That's kind of my point. Yeah. What's the point of the match if and I understand the long tom only happens if you're dominating in scouting. I get that. But if you're dominating in scouting and a long tom comes out, why play?
All right, let's bring up the pip.
So
here we go.
We'll see. We'll see how it works out. Oh, I should turn on the pip.
Yeah, you should probably turn on the pip, bro.
I should.
Both teams will be
Maybe I
coming
will
in
do that.
on the drop ships. And I'm looking over on the House of Lords side. We're seeing Black Knights, Stormcrow, Gargoyle, Atlas S, Executioner, Jenner 2C, Atlas DDC. They went with the dual Atlases, one of them being ECM. So Lords is heavy on the Atlases. On the SGR side, dual Muller MX90s, no Atlases, Banshee 3M, Direwolf, Grasshopper 5H, and a Timber. Might be going a little bit more pokey. Let's see if Lords takes it straight to him, or if they get caught in a little bit of a
here
poke battle.
is an Ember for Lords.
Ah!
I am excited to watch how this plays.
Machine guns on Caustic. There you go.
And there's another Orion, an
What's his build?
SRM Flamer Orion. Black Knight.
Four
another
medium
brawler
pulse.
Black Knight. The Gargoyle. Wow,
machine
that's a lot
gun.
of small pulse on this Gargoyle.
So we have some
This
initial
is a pure
poke.
brawl.
Some initial poke over the Caldara. Looks like Lords is stagnated a little bit. Peep Smash up
and
on the
Lords
left side.
has a small pulse Executioner as well. Just boating those clans small pulse. And an Atlas DDC with 3 SRM6 and Artemis and 2 LBX.
All right, here comes Lords. They're not going to waste any time. They're taking it straight to the left flank of SJR. Let's see how much damage they can put downfield before the Brawlers reach it. Atlas S leading the charge, 84%. Executioner actually pacing him, staying out of harm's way. Interesting little pace maneuver there, keeping himself alive while that is occurring.
SJR is not putting
Peep
enough
Smash
damage
in
out to
a
get these Atlases down.
Peep Smash gets taken down in a 1v2, so the light falls. But here we go, the Ember and a Gargoyle coming in on Magician in the Mauler. He's getting shredded down very quick.
Yep.
Pie Maker doing whatever he can. Executioner down to 42%, but he's now in the back. They're not able to finish him off, and it looks like this might end up going in favor of Lords, but now the percentages are starting to flip. We're in a bit of a brawl here, but if they can keep up this DPS...
Psychoholic actually killed himself. I believe that might have been an overheat kill.
Oh, man, we got a couple dead. Four dead now for Lords. The main group here about to take out Quicksilver, it looks like. But they need to get him down quick. Tweakin just joined the fight in the Oxide. They're working the DDC down. That flipped back the other way. Quicksilver finally goes down, and it is 4-on-4, but the percentages now... Percentages
and
now
his Atlas
are...
is now stripped for Lords. Here's the Ember in the fight now. Let's see how he does.
He's been fighting this whole time, shredding people up, but...
yeah, well, I wasn't paying attention, so now he's in the fight.
Grasshopper versus Gargoyle, but he's got T-Fun there in the Jenner 2C doing some work as well. Ember is going nuts with the machine guns. The Atlas, of course... Are both Atlases sticked? Is the Ember the last one with guns?
One Atlas is sticked, then we confirm the other Atlas is sticked. Yes, the Ember is the only one with guns.
Ember is the last one.
They're going for the legs there. And there he goes. He is legged. Those machine guns aren't quite good enough this time. So SJR pulls it out.
I almost called it a little early, but then I look over and I see percentages start to tank for Lords, and then shortly after the pilots go. So I kind of sent him down the river there, and that was the wrong move. SJR keeping that fire going downfield. I think a lot of it had to do with heat efficiency and just kept that damage rolling in, and they pull off it's a close win, but it's a win all the same. 5 dead for SJR, but they do clean house on Lords. 8 dead for them.
Yeah, and I think it felt like when the lights kind of started coming up behind the Lord's assaults for SJR, getting those Atlases cored out from behind, that's really the best way to take out an Atlas, is to have them charge your assaults, and then have your lights come up and strip those torsos out from behind, get the weapons off them. Once you get those torsos off, you're really just almost always facing a sticked Atlas. Whatever. At
I
that
feel
point,
like I missed something there, so hopefully I can go
yeah,
back to the replay and find it, because my brain was telling me that it was going a lot better for Lords than it is, but
I would agree with you.
the damage is just,
Significantly in favor of SJR here.
yeah, I mean, you've got only 2 guys under 300 damage. That's pretty fucking impressive. Very impressive for SJR there. They put the numbers out, and I think those dual maulers, they didn't even do the most. The Direwolf, Daka, Quicksilver pulling 591, and the Timberwolf pulling 630. Goodness gracious. I think the maulers were probably the first one targeted, but pretty straightforward strat there by Lords. Just, they figure
Yeah.
they were going to get
I
poked to
really
death.
felt that SJR let Lords cross the Caldera without putting enough damage into them.
Yeah, I mean, that was looking really bad. That was looking
Yeah.
really bad, but I was surprised. So we've got, a pretty general movement, as we expected, up to the Caldera, and we got the general movement up to the Caldera. So obviously, and actually SJR did a really good job fanning out some of them all the way over here, setting up a really good firing line. We had the light mech actually over here. So the light cruising around in this corner, and then Peef Smash actually came up and answered and just kind of looked at him over there. But that was the general movement initially, and then they're like, okay, well, they're ranged. They actually came in right over here and started working down. But yeah, I mean, the Peef Smash getting taken down 1v2 on his own in Echo 4 area, Echo 3, Echo 4, I think that was pretty big. Losing a light that quickly was important, because those lights were then able to come back and join the fight and basically come in and get behind that initial charge. So enough with the map. Let's take a look at the replay. Looks like we can get live here. So we are live 5 minutes ago. So yeah, they're obviously getting poked a little bit by the Daka. Smart call. I can't say Lords made the bad call here. They definitely needed to go, and they made that charge across. The Executioner getting beat up on and smoothly moving over next to the Atlas and then paces him. I thought that was slick as hell too.
Yeah, that was a
a great maneuver right there, and did what he needed to do to keep himself fresh. But boom, Peef Smash goes down all on his own on the corner, and those lights were able to get back into the fight. I really do think that was big. Magician backing up, doing whatever he can, gets taken out, and you can see why I was figuring, oh man, besides the Peef Smash death, it was looking pretty bad. Pie Maker and the Banshee goes down next.
Yeah.
You got this massive firing line
Very
rolling
quickly,
down.
too.
Everybody's backing up as hard as possible. Quicksilver just unloading as hard as he can into the DDC in full retreat. He was doing some pretty amazing damage that entire time, though. And so, then it starts flipping in favor of Steel Jaguar. And I look at the scoreboard and I'm like, how the hell did that happen? In fact, I'm actually going to back up. Where did all of those deaths happen? Let's find it, because something happened here. Oh, I'm seeing the lights up there behind Energy. Does Energy get backcourt out? You got T-Fun and the other light, which is Tweakin in the Oxide. They do take out Energy. The Ember is trying to help with that. And then here comes Tweakin. Quicksilver's about to go down, but Tweakin comes rolling in, and it looks like the Ember is still just doing whatever they can, but they're ignoring the Ember.
Yeah.
DDC gets sticked. They immediately get off of him. The Atlas S is sticked. So, I mean, that I think the lights really played a big part there, and then that tactical retreat.
It certainly felt like the lights turned the battle, because it sure wasn't the Assaults. The Assaults were getting their face kicked in by that push from
They were,
Lords.
but I think they were doing a good job. I don't know who ultimately sticked both Atlases, but it happened quick, and that was big. Like, having two zombies roaming around. I've been there, and that fucking sucks. So 2 zombies cruising around. The scoreboard looks better than it actually is, because having two Atlases stripped like that. That's brutal.
Yeah,
And
that
then
is.
they take out the last guy, which is the Ember. I don't know if the Ember really did much, or nearly as much as he was hoping. He was left alone, but did it do as good as, maybe an Oxide? I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not sure whether that was the right way to go. I didn't spectate him enough. I couldn't see whether he was able to use those machine guns on open components, because that's really where they shine, right? You're not. I mean, you go up against
Yeah.
a fresh grasshopper with full armor, and you got 4 machine guns. Who gives,
Really,
rat's
anything that got
bum?
opened up just died immediately after anyways.
Anything that got opened up died immediately, but I don't know whether that was focus fire or that Ember, machine gun. I just thought it was funny that we saw it in competitive play after the buff that it received. We talked about it in the opening, a little bit of a quirk to the Ember. We were wondering if it would make a comeback. We did see it. I don't know if, like you said, if it was the decisive factor in this match. Clearly, it wasn't enough to help Lords win it, but who knows? Maybe we'll start seeing them a little more.
Yeah, I mean, it's hard to say, but it didn't do enough to win that one for him. It's who was in that Ember? Oh, I left the pip up for the scoreboard. I'm sorry, guys. That was my bad. So we didn't get to see most of the Lord's damages on that one, unfortunately. Oh, we can kind of see it from your screen a little bit. Oh, man. I almost had a perfect stream. Almost.
Oh, this is amateur hour.
Amateur hour. But House of Lords does take it 3-2.
3-2. Yep.
But SJR are able to come back in the last moment there and pick up some C-bills. So they did leave with 900,000 to House of Lords. And as we said before, House of Lords was using some illegal pilots because they really had no choice. And so props to them for playing anyways. But Steel JaguaR needs as many C-bills as they can get to be able to compete against EMP. And we'll see how that all plays out. We'll be hopefully casting those matches, and hopefully that'll be exciting. I think
the other fun part of this is this adds a little bit more intrigue to the House of Lords versus EMP match. That will be happening for Div A.
That's true too. I mean, even if they use illegal pilots in that one too, I'm just there to watch a good match.
I'd pay good money for that. I'd watch that.
Absolutely. Let's go ahead and do our giveaway. Final giveaway of the night. This will be for Mech Bay. It's premium time. Let's see who our lucky winner is. Hopefully not the 420 guy again, because I forgot to remove his name.
It's his lucky day. Gonna win it.
And the winner is Darth Peanut MWO. He's got MWO in the name, so he deserves it. You know he plays. You are
right
the
when
winner.
I'm telling him in chat to get lost.
You're such a dick.
I know.
Get lost, you're the winner.
Rigged.
That's hilarious. So congratulations to him. We'll be sending you guys the codes afterwards. But thank you everybody for watching. Hopefully it was an exciting match for you guys. I thought it was very exciting. Didn't mean to get too critical on SJR there. That Frozen City night, obviously this was something that they've done in the past or practiced and thought that it would work, but something didn't work in the execution, and hopefully they can go back to the drawing board and figure that one out. I'm not sitting there calling them stupid or anything like that. I'm just saying that something is going terribly wrong. So we'll just have to see what comes of that. Maybe they'll scrap that strat in the future. Who knows? But it was certainly different, and I have to appreciate different when it comes to comp matches. So.
Yeah, well, we got to see another different strat in Drop 2, Viridian Bog, work very well for SJR. So
absolutely.
Different doesn't necessarily mean bad. Poor execution typically means bad. Unfortunately for SJR, I think that's what they suffered from in Drop 4. But Drop 2, like we said, different strategy, and it won it for them.
Another exciting match that we can watch is actually SJR versus 228 Blackwatch. That should be a really good one on the 26th of April at the usual time. So definitely tune in to the MRBC channel for that one. it will be certainly exciting. But definitely give us any feedback for the stream. We want to improve. We want to make this a better show for you guys. And toss that into chat, and I read the chat afterwards, actually, because it's hard to do it during the stream. But I actually watch through and read everything you guys say. So don't say anything bad about me. Because I like being abused,
Say something
apparently.
bad about him. It's okay.
I like being abused.
I give you permission to say something bad about Bandit in chat because I watch it as it happens.
Absolutely.
And I think it's funny.
Dick. So, but yeah, obviously, and we're not going to do any post-game interviews today or anything like that because I got to go take care of some stuff. But thank you to Lords and SJR for allowing us to cast and allowing IQ Fish to do his recording and stuff like that. Hopefully that project will come to an epic fruition, so we have a new intro video. But yeah, that's going to be it for us tonight. I am Bandit P17. This is MDM0, and we will see you guys later.
See you guys.
Goodbye.
Oh yeah, IQ Fish is there too, by the way. Oh, Jesus.
Amateur hour.
Amateur hour. See you later.
Make sure you guys are shooting the correct legs. Be careful of the